Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk alignment, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of alignful.com. Hello, and welcome to another week of the Tuning In podcast. So today I am recording this feeling very excited because I'm officially announcing the opening of my Align in 5 membership. And the link to that is in the show notes, but you can also easily get there by going to alignful.com/join. That's alignful, alignful.com/join. And I talked about it a bit last week, but this is a big deal for me. It's exciting. After a year of marinating, this really feels true to me and true to how I want to serve others. I am over the moon excited to officially announce the Align in 5 membership, and doors are open today, and it's $22 a month, guys. This is cheaper than coffee. This is cheaper than cheap coffee. And every single month, we are going to cover a new topic with tools and resources to help you get more connected to yourself and feel more in control of your life. The main goal here is to help you go from feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and anxious to feeling more calm, confident, and connected. And we do this month to month. You pay by the month. You explore each month all of the resources, which include a group coaching call with me, a movement video. If you all know, I teach Bowspring yoga movement. We get a meditation, a mantra, a lesson, and a workbook. But remember that all of this quote unquote work, it's not about doing more things. In fact, I would argue it probably won't take you more than 5 to 10 conscious minutes a day, but rather about being a different version of yourself. And I just ask you, what would happen if you committed to focusing on you every day for a year, every month for a year? What becomes possible? You see, I know that you know all about how important it is to take care of yourself, to prioritize your needs, to meditate, to do all these things. But my question to you is, then what's preventing you from doing it? You see, there's a difference between knowing and doing. And in this membership, I really am offering a way to help you do and become this version of yourself. Your mind already knows what you quote unquote should be doing, right? But if you're not doing it, then it's not helpful to know. In fact, you just end up feeling guilty. And I don't want you to feel guilty. I want you to feel really connected to yourself and start to build a lifestyle with you in mind. And stop really focusing on what's expected of you and paying more attention to what is right for you. So that's the membership. As always, send me an email or a message on Instagram if you have any questions. I'll be talking more about it over on Instagram. So if you don't follow me, you can find me at Dana_Evans. But this week's episode actually very much relates to this. We're talking about being over doing. So without further ado, here's this week's episode. Happy Woo Woo Wednesday, my friends. It is a good day. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. And if not, that's okay too. It is all part of the human experience, my friends. In fact, I shared on Instagram just the other day that I had a bit of a toddler tantrum moment. And yes, I have those. Just because I teach mindfulness, alignment, meditation, yoga, it does not mean that I don't have meltdowns and I don't get angry or any of that. In fact, a big reason that I started down this path of learning, of self-development and growth, is because I wanted to really move from feeling out of control to circumstances that were happening to me and feeling more in control of how I responded to circumstances. So it was a long day, a good day, but a long day. And I was really tired at the end. And things just felt like they started to go wrong. My cat was being a total pest, and she was mad at me, and she was refusing to eat her food, and she was trying to eat plastic and knocking things everywhere. So I was really frustrated with that. And I had trouble with the dinner I was making. It wasn't cooking right. All these little and rather insignificant things felt like they were building upon a foundation of me being really tired and just needing to pause. But instead of pausing, I was focusing on all the things that were going wrong. And I was thinking things that were making me feel badly. And all of that built upon itself, and a little volcano of me happened, and I threw something and I yelled, and then I felt really embarrassed. Have you ever done that? Have you ever had a little breakdown and then you feel a little embarrassed about your behavior because you know better, right? And I was alone, but I was still very embarrassed. So immediately I went into my closet where I am here recording the podcast, and I took a wide stance. I leaned forward on one of our dressers, and I just took a breath. I closed my eyes. I took a few breaths and just felt my body. I could feel vibration in my body. I could feel resistance. And then I asked myself, what is really going on? And through that, I heard the answer from my inner voice. And it's that I was too focused on doing, and I wasn't present with being myself. More than doing, I was thinking about all the things that I should and needed to be doing before Friday. And then that thinking turned into thoughts of not doing enough, letting people down, criticism, and judgment. That's your inner critic, separate from your inner voice. So my inner voice shared with me, well, this is what's going on, Dana. You're spending all this time in action mode, checking things off the list, and you're so far into the future that you can't deal with the now. And all of those thoughts were building upon your feeling of inadequacy, coupled with the fact that you're opening your membership tomorrow, so you're feeling extra inadequate and extra pressure on yourself. And all of that, coupled with your cat, who was probably picking up on your energy, led to this explosion. Oh, I see. That gave me a lot of clarity. It is so important for us to know that our reaction to a circumstance is rarely just about the individual circumstance. It's so much more. And it's usually a culmination of many small things that have built up until you hit your tipping point. Sometimes those small things are actual circumstances, and sometimes they're thoughts, they're choices to suppress your feelings, to not speak up for yourself, to put your needs aside. Whatever it is, it's rarely the one thing. And in fact, the phrase, the straw that broke the camel's back. Exactly what happened. And I'm sure it happens to you as well. And when that happens, we often think, oh, what's wrong with me? Or we think, God, if only that one thing hadn't happened, I would have been fine. But the truth is, that's not a good question to ask, and that's not a good thought to have. Why? Because that takes your power out of the situation. That leads you to feel helpless and like you can't do anything about it. And that's how I used to feel all the time, and maybe you can relate to this feeling. It's this constant sense of being stressed, feeling overwhelmed, feeling out of control, and feeling anxious about the things that are upcoming. And to live life in that place is very frustrating and it's tiring. And it means that if you are a little extra tired or a little extra worn down, that your ability to manage yourself is even more limited. And over the past 10 years, I started this journey, I guess, of self-development. And bit by bit, I've started to uncover that it's always about me. And it's always about you as an individual. The problem lies within your perspective. The solution lies within your response. The power is within you. The answers are within you. Anything you're looking to change in your life must first start by going inward, by tuning in, by listening to your inner voice, by asking yourself really good, empowering questions, and by choosing each moment, each day to have awareness. Who am I? How did I get here? What do I want to create for my future? And what am I doing, thinking, or being that is keeping me stuck or is keeping me from having what I truly want? Where am I letting myself down? Where do I put myself last? And how can I start to shift the way I am being so that my doing becomes more beneficial and effective for my future desires? Whoa. Is that how you talk to yourself? It's taken me years to start to shift my perspective. And it all starts with awareness, like we talked about in last week's episode, and a willingness and openness to take 100% responsibility. Because ultimately, you cannot be responsible for anything except yourself. And ultimately, you have no control over external circumstances. No matter how hard we try to control other people, to control the weather, to control UPS, to control our email, ultimately, the only thing we can control is our internal self and how we respond to what life brings us. And by no means does this mean you have to be a perfect, enlightened being who sits in meditation and is never affected by anything. Oh my goodness, no, we are human. We are so human. But what it means is that you get to have more control and more say and more intention into your everyday life. That makes life more fun. I talk so much on this podcast about finding joy and connecting to joy and having more fun. And often the argument to that is, well, I don't have time for that. I have too many things I have to do. I have too many things that are creating stress for me. And that's a choice. Yes. I know we don't like to say that that's a choice. It's like, well, I have kids and they have sports and all these things. But let me say this. For every person who has it easier than you do and manages, there is a person that has it a lot harder than you do and also manages. You see, this is a tough pill to swallow, but we tend to think we're really special and that our unique circumstances are unique and thus extra challenging or no one else could understand. Trust me, I've been there. I am there often. But if you remember that it's a bigger picture than just you, and that there's always going to be someone who has it harder than you and chooses to make things work, it's quite humbling, in fact, because then you remember that you have power, you have control, and you're not a victim to your circumstances, but you're co-creating life. And what does that feel like to you? First, you might feel resistance and frustration of like, no, I need to control everything else. But when you start to embrace the idea of only controlling yourself and making choices in how you react or respond, bit by bit, you'll start to realize that life is more fun that way. It is easier that way because you let go of the resistance of trying to control everything else and embrace the power. Oh, it's so empowering to control yourself and your reactions and your responses. And then you get to go about life. And then if we start back at my story that I opened with, of course you will backtrack. Of course you'll fall into old habits of arguments and patterns and frustration and feeling helpless. That's part of the path. In fact, we're not growing if we don't stumble. That means we're hitting a new challenge that we get to overcome. We get to be the witness to ourselves. You see, when I had the freak out, the tantrum, as I called it, I didn't sit there and judge myself and say, you know better, you should have done better, what is wrong with you? You have no reason to react like this. Your life isn't that hard, right? No, I stepped back and chose to look at that situation as a witness with curiosity and say, wow, this is interesting. This isn't something you would normally have reacted to. What's going on? What do you need? What thoughts are causing you to feel so reactive and out of control? That's what compassion looks like. That's how we can really respond to our circumstances with compassion. Because through the witnessing, through becoming the witness to your own life, not through judgment, but through compassion, that's what makes it easier to make the shift. Because you're asking the right questions. And then you know for next time, oh, I see where I started to spiral. And really, I just needed rest. I was tired. And I didn't need to criticize myself. Very simple, very simple. But this has taken me a long time to develop. And in fact, I've, over these years and through teaching the course Mindset and Movement at the Colorado School of Mines, what I've come to realize is there is a way for us to pause and to connect. And I have two little methods that I've created that I do cover in this membership. In fact, that's what the membership is all about, us learning. But there's stop, look, and listen. And that's for the in-the-moment stressors. And that's what we did yesterday. That's what I did yesterday. I stopped. I removed myself from the situation. I took a breath. Then I looked around and inside and asked the question. And then I listened for the answer. And it shifted everything. And then we also have the align method, which I won't go over in this podcast, but it's really about creating your life so that you can find more alignment, not by doing more, no, but by being and living in integrity with yourself. By shifting the way you're interacting with the world, of how to serve yourself so that you can serve others in the highest way possible. How to tap inward, find that peace and calm so that you can make decisions that feel clear, so that you can feel more confident in speaking up for yourself and being who you truly are. We spend so much time trying to appeal to others and to appease others that we forget that the most important person we need to appease and respect and appeal to is ourselves. For that is all there is. If you don't have a connected relationship with who you are and clarity about what you want out of life, you just become a bag that's floating in the wind that gets pulled in every single direction without any awareness of why. And through the membership, Align in 5, through this path of inner growth and awareness, you become not only the witness to your life, but the co-creator in it. You no longer become a victim or trapped in what others want of you, but the person who decides what it is you want and who you need to be to get there. And it is through this awareness and this growth that you really create a life that has the joy and fun and satisfaction that you seek and yet haven't been able to find. We've all been there. We're in this together, and I would love, if this lights you up, for you too to join me on this journey back to self. Through the Align in 5 membership, each month we get to connect and look at ourselves through the clarity of who we want to become. And it's so empowering. I get chills and warmth thinking about us going on this journey together. I hope this episode just brought a little awareness to your day. And if you could take one thing away from it, it's to start to be the witness and watch yourself with compassion, and then ask questions that will help you move forward and not hold you back or put you in a box. Again, if you're at all interested in this membership or know someone who may benefit, you can find more information on my website, alignful.com/join, or by following me on Instagram at Dana_Evans. I can't wait to see what we create in 2020. Have a beautiful week, my friends. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tuning In podcast. As always, if this would resonate with anyone you know, please share the episode. You can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans, or find me on my website at alignful.com.